Hello, I'm Edward Fillion. Centers for Spiritual Living's suggested theme for April is Bright Beginnings, and this week's recommended topic is Fire in the Belly. Fire in the belly is an idiomatic expression that refers to the stamina and passion or inner drive to achieve something. It's the feeling that urges us into action. The authors of this month's global themes write, "This week marks the beginning of Ramadan for those in the Islamic faith. This means that Muslims will be fasting from sunrise to sundown each day. This fasting is known as Sawm. It's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. The time of fasting extends beyond food to include water, cigarettes, gambling, gossip, judgment of others, and so on. Muslims believe that the absence of these activities creates a purification in the body, a fire in the belly, where one can truly see what needs to be seen and understood so that they can be unencumbered by these distractions." In the year 2020, the Christian season of Lent starts on February 26 and ends on Easter. Skipping Saturdays, the traditional 40 days represents a period of self-purification in heart and mind, paralleling the 40 days Jesus spent in the wilderness. Fasting shows up in many different faiths. The Baha'i faith includes an annual fast to focus on the love of the Creator. Many branches of Buddhism practice some form of fasting, typically on full moon days to purify the mind. Hindus fast too, to focus the mind, among other reasons. And on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, Jews fast in preparation for atonement. A parallel practice in our Science of Mind tradition would be to mindfully give up self-damaging thoughts for 40 days, or for 1 day, or for 1 minute, to make a clean break from the past and start something new. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, wrote about fasting, saying, "If one believes that virtue consists in fasting, then virtue appears to them through fasting. But to the one who finds no virtue in fasting, feasting may be a greater virtue." In other words, there is no one-size-fits-all, and ultimately it comes down to what we believe. My blessings to you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I think I just heard you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sunday experience here at CSL Redlands. Thank you for clicking what you needed to click to be here, right now. I'm so grateful. Tammy and I are so grateful that you are here, and the entire community of CSL Redlands is grateful that you are here. So in this experience and expression, we are living, breathing, and having our beings through science of mind. That is what we teach here. We are an open, inclusive community that honors all paths, all people, all walks of life, all colors of socks. You are welcome here, and we are so blessed by your presence. So this morning we have a line up for you. We have a reading and prayer with Brother Mark, and we have a talk by Reverend Tammy, the Inner Fire, and we are looking forward to spending the next hour or so with you. We'll see how that goes. Now we have a centering song, followed by prayer and a reading by Brother Mark.
Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday to each of you and all of us who are watching now remotely. My name is Brother Mark. I'm one of the licensed practitioners at CSL Redlands, and I invite you to turn within with me for today's opening prayer treatment. And so let's just join together and release with our exhale everything that's preceded this moment in time, just letting it go. And as we inhale in, we're breathing in that divine breath. And let's again exhale out anything and everything that does not match that divine breath. And as we return to our normal breathing, we're reminded that this power and this presence, this love, this grace, this joy, this mercy, this divinity that is the truth of each of us individually and all of us collectively, it's here and now in this place, it's in this space. It has never left us. It has never forsaken us. And it is in the I am that I am. It is in the I am that you are. And it is from this place of unity and oneness that I speak a word of blessing, knowing that today's service is and gives a beacon of light and love intelligence to not only each of us individually, but the world collectively, which is calling forth right here and right now for a great healing, a great transformation, a great revealing, and a great revelation. I know it's coming and I can feel it. And I just call forth everything that God is to provide for your highest and best good. I call it forth right here and right now. And anything and everything that's heretofore blocked or hindered, deferred, denied, or delayed, your highest expression for your highest and greatest good, it slips away with ease and grace and is replaced right here and right now with the truth that God is at hand. Say that with me. God is at hand. Life is at hand. Say that with me. Life is at hand. And say, my highest and best good, I'm listening. My highest and best good is right here and right now with me. I'm so grateful to speak this word and know the truth. I bless our speakers this day. I bless our musicians. I bless our practitioner corps and our board. I bless each of you at home and each of you who is watching remotely. It's not a mistake that you found us. centerforspiritualliving.org is the worldwide organization that works toward and has a vision toward a world that works for everyone. And we certainly all need that now. And so if you agree with me, I invite you to allow for your heart space to fill with gratitude. Let's do that with our next breath. Gratitude in, and even more gratitude out. Again, gratitude in, even more gratitude out. And I feel good about this word spoken. I know it is made so right here and right now. I expect the good and I look for it and I shall find it. And so it is. Amen. Ashe. And so today's reading comes to us from page 448 of the Science of Mind text. And it says, the whole purpose of the Science of Mind is to reconcile the apparent separation of the spiritual world, which must be perfect, with the material world, which appears imperfect. The spiritual world is the cause of the material. We are spiritual beings governed by mental law. Only that world can appear to us which we mentally perceive. Man's experience is the logical outcome of his inner vision. His horizon is limited to the confines of his own consciousness. Wherever this consciousness lacks a true perspective, its outward expression will lack proper harmony. This is why we are taught to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Since no one lives by proxy, but each unto himself, every individual must make the test in his own soul.
Take me to the breaking of a beautiful dawn. Take me to the place where we come from. Take me to the end so I can see the stars. There's only one way to mend a broken heart. Take me to the place where I don't feel so small. Take me where I don't need to stand so tall. Take me to the edge so I can fall apart. There's only one way to mend a broken heart. Take me where love isn't up for sale. Take me where our hearts are not so frail. Take me to the fire that owns its spark. There's only one way to mend a broken heart. Teach me how to see when I close my eyes. Teach me to forgive and to apologize. Show me how to love in the darkest dark. There's only one way to mend a broken heart. Take me where the angels are close at hand. Take me where the ocean meets the sky and the land. Show me to the wisdom of the evening star. There's only one way to mend a broken heart. Take me to the place where I feel no shame. Take me where courage doesn't need a name. Learning how to cry is the hardest part. There's only one way to mend a broken heart. Take me to the breaking of a beautiful dawn. Take me to the place where I come from.
Good morning, beloveds. How are you today? Today we are in a very windy day, and our skies are a little bit overcast here in Osoyoos, BC, where we are coming to you from. And so I was joking earlier that it's a Wednesday, not a Wednesday, a Wednesday, like in Winnie the Pooh's very blustery day. So today, in this Wednesday, in this very windy day, we are talking about our monthly theme, which has been Bright Beginnings. And our weekly theme for week 4 of April is called The Inner Fire. And how I see this fire from within, this fire that we all have within us, it's about our life purpose. It's about what is ours to do. And one of the interesting things that has happened with me this past week is that I've been taking a 9-day course on grief. It's called Healthy Mourning Revolution, and it's on Facebook. The person who is teaching it is fantastic. If you want more information about that, let us know, and we can include that in the comments as we roll this talk along. The interesting thing about this for me was, as I considered the idea of bright beginnings, I also recognize that sometimes in order to have a bright beginning, you also have to have an ending. And with my background, I had taken many years ago, I'd taken a midwifery program. I was a birth doula for a number of years. And so birth is a really huge metaphor for me. And one of the things that I always think about with birth is that it's very much like death. That they're the same things, they're just bookends on a life. And the biggest metaphor around that shows up for me is the idea of moving towards the light. That's exactly what a baby does, like go towards the light at the end of the tunnel. That is birth. And that is the same metaphor that we use, or that we hear about so often in near-death experiences, when people talk about how they have seen a light and they've gone through a tunnel towards a light. This is the same idea. This is the spirit being birthed into life, the spirit being birthed into the next life. So this is where this is a really circular metaphor. The idea of a bright beginning can also mean a bright ending. It can also mean a releasing of something in order to move into that way of bright beginning. So one of the things that comes up around this is that, yes, we are divine beings. We are always in our divinity, no matter which end of the spectrum we're coming at, no matter where we are in our life journey, we are always expressing the divine life through us. And that space in between the birth and the death, between the beginning and the ending, is a space of purpose. It has to be. It is always of purpose. It is always living its purpose. It's whether or not we are in recognition of that. Because we are here on purpose, with purpose, as the purpose of the divine unfolding. We have to be, because we are the divine life that is unfolding right here and now in form. So as we go into this idea of our purpose, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what Ernest Holmes has said. He said, "We walk by falling forward. Water falls by its own weight. The planets are eternally falling through space. Everything sustains itself by nature. The only reason man is limited is that he has not allowed the divine within him to more completely express itself." And this is how we view purpose, that it is the divine expression within us. When we see somebody that is living a life of beautiful, impressive, massive purpose, we know that we can see the divine light in them so perfectly. But yet, that there are smaller purposes, there are smaller ways that we express this divine purpose within our lives that don't necessarily take on global proportions. I don't necessarily have to be the person that finds the cure to cancer, or the cure to a pandemic for that matter, to be living in my purpose. Because perhaps my purpose is just right here and now, in this moment, connecting with you. Or perhaps my purpose is the moment that I carried my baby home from the hospital. Or perhaps my purpose is in giving a hug to a person that so needed it in that moment. Or perhaps my purpose is simply a kind word. all of the elements of purpose happen within service, within our service to humanity. Back in ministerial studies, I took an entire course, an entire program on Noble Purpose, which is a book by Dr. Barry Heerman. And it explores the idea of life purpose. And what Dr. Heerman says is that our purpose is always an expression of our personal service to humanity. He writes it this way: when you come into relationship with meaning in your life, at the deepest level you are moved, changed, altered. Something emerges in you or through you that is life-defining. It could be said that you have found meaning. To be infused with meaning calls forth purpose. While meaning has you come alive, purpose requires direction for your energy to the realization of some contribution to others. And what he says is that there's a spiral of unfoldment of purpose in our life. And as we move through that spiral, we move further and further and further into our service to humanity. If you ever feel like you want to know a little bit more about that idea of purpose, I have done workshops and courses on life purpose, and I would be so interested and willing to provide that again, because it's a beautiful program to be able to help move into a deeper sense of purpose. So when Barry Heerman is talking about our purpose being that thing that is our expression of service to humanity, he comes to it through a different way. He talks about how purpose is always within us, that it is always the divine light that is our essential self. And that idea of that divine light that is our essential self always reminds me of the creation story of the Kabbalah, which I've talked about before. But the creation story in the Kabbalah is basically that there is light, that before all things there was light and only light. And it was that the entire purpose and beingness of that light was in its givingness. In order to give, it needed to have something to give to, so it created a vessel out of its own self, because all there was light. And so it created this vessel to receive, but the vessel was also created out of its own self, so it also had the purpose underlying of giving. And so in the interplay between the giving and the receiving, the vessel ends up coming to break apart, because it can no longer receive what the light is giving without living the purpose of giving as well. And what the overall story says is that when those shards of light, those pieces of light which created the entire universe, when they come back together, they will be expressing that ability to give, to receive, deeply receive from the divine in order to give. So it's the receiving and the giving. It's the receiving of the divine light, of the divine givingness, of the divine goodness, while also giving it out into humanity. And that is the expression, again, of our purpose. Our purpose is the divine purpose through us. We're not separate. We're not separate from that divine life. We're not separate from each other. We need to be giving. That is who we are. That is how we are in our beingness in the world. When we find that essential self within us, that light within us, that is when we access that full truth, that inner fire of how to give ourselves into the world. And the reason why we don't always know what that inner fire is telling us, the reason why we don't always see that in our lives and we don't always know what our purpose is because what Barry Heerman says is that essential self that we were born with, that divine self that we were born with, gets covered up. It gets covered over by our life experiences, and sometimes by our hurts, by our pains, our wounds, by our belief systems and our stories that we tell about ourselves, and by our shutting ourselves off, the walls that we build so that we can protect ourselves from the world around us. And what that is it forms a shell that Barry Heerman calls the bounded self. It forms a shell around that essential self. And what we're trying to do, that shell is like our ego self, and it is trying to simply protect that divine light within us. That's what we do that for, but it's misguided, because it's only by accessing that light that we can access our true nature, which is our purpose in life. So what Barry Heerman talks about in his Noble Purpose book is that when you are seeking to come into contact with that inner self, when you're seeking to unfold that inner divine light, that essential self, there are two ways essentially that people will do this. Either you can do this by working on your own self-realization, on your own inner awareness, and doing your spiritual work, and slowly but surely dismantling that layer that you put around you. Or what often happens, what can happen, is some sort of a cataclysmic kind of break. Some kind of an event that happens in your life that kind of shakes you to the core and makes you take a new look at your life and makes you question yourself and the meaning of everything that you've had and everything that you've done. And there's so many people, so many amazing people in the world that have talked about how they came to that place of finding that defining moment that brought them to their knees, that broke down the structures of their life in such a way that they needed to take a look at themselves. They needed to take a look at what was the meaning of it all so that they could find that purpose. And from that, they leaped forward into amazing things that they did in their lives. One person who comes to mind that I heard spoken about recently was a woman whose son was killed in a car accident by a drunk driver, and she is the founder of MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And she founded this entire organization that has lobbied governments to change road laws and laws around drinking and driving, and create services for people who have lost families due to drunk driving. And all of this stuff has come out of her own personal tragedy, which brought her to her knees, cracked apart that bounded self, and allowed her to find the light within. How can I serve humanity? How can I make meaning of this? We're in a place now where there's a lot of people in this world, a lot of us that are going through those different transitions, where we are in a place of feeling these losses of livelihoods, of jobs perhaps, losses of connection with communities, losses of connection with family, or losses in that people that we know may be experiencing this COVID-19, may be experiencing the health loss, or even potentially the loss of life. How do we make sense of this? How do we make sense of what's going on at this time? It is a drastic dismantling of the world, of humanity's bounded self. We're cracking apart the shell of who we think we have been, of how we have chosen to be in the world, how we have chosen to protect ourselves through economic structures, through the structures of our borders of our countries, through the structures of our social structures within our communities. We're cracking apart all of those structures that we've put in place to keep ourselves safe as a human race. and what is emerging, what has the potential to emerge here, is our essential self, our purpose. Our purpose is humanity. There's so much amazing opportunity in this for us. There's so much amazing possibility in this for us. I wanted to read you a poem that I wrote. I wrote this many years ago when I was in the midst of an ending of a relationship that had been a very significant relationship for me. And I was looking for some guidance, and oftentimes what happens for me is when I'm in the midst of asking for some guidance, poetry comes through me, and that poetry never ceases to teach me after and after and after. And so I've returned to this many times as a reminder to myself of what I need to learn about endings. And that's the name of it. It's called Endings. It's in the endings where you shine, said the Great One, amidst the hushed oohs and ahs of the 100 billion. It's in the endings where the energy released in the breaking of the structure flashes so bright as to blind the senses. But what you think is pain is only the brilliance of truth's ultimate appearance. It's in the endings where the surrender is so complete that you forget the bindings that limited you, and freedom expands outward with such force and speed as to decimate any lingering impression that you were ever meant to remain small. It's in the endings, in the deaths, in the breakings and the releases that I see myself in you, and universes are born. What universe are we creating? What universe are you creating in your life right now? And, you know, we often wonder, how do we know what is mine to do in this life? What is mine to do? What is my purpose? How do I find that purpose when I'm in that place of uncertainty and in the place of not knowing how to move forward? Well, Tammy Keeves, who's the author of Thriving Through Uncertainty, which is the book study that we've been working on, she talks about moving towards the energy, knowing where your energy is taking you and moving into that. You know, there are times when you find that you're doing something that you are so in your joy that you lose time, or time stops, because you feel like you've been doing that one joyful thing for your entire life as you sit there for 10 minutes. And that energy is the energy of your purpose showing up. That energy is some cue or clue to you as to what is yours to do in the world. And sometimes you notice also that when you are moving into an activity that your energy shuts down, and you can feel it's so hard, you're like dragging yourself into whatever that activity is. And perhaps for you, that is your blockage. Perhaps for you, that's where you need to have a look at whether or not that is yours to do. Where does your energy take you? There's always going to be those things in our life that are energy receivers and energy takers. And we need to just be aware of the balance of that. And so, you know, there are those things that, I'm not as fond of. I'm not as fond of sweeping my floors or dusting my furniture or that sort of thing. I'm not as fond of that. So I don't do that easily and with, big joyful energy. But yet I know I have to do it. I have to take care of my life in those ways. However, when you're looking at overall purpose and you notice that there are those things in your life that bring you joy, that bring you a sense of lightness, that bring you energy, that awaken you to different possibilities and creativity, those are the things that you follow. That's where you follow the energy. And when you are finding those heavy blockages happening in your life, it's your signpost, your guidepost that's saying, maybe you need to set this down. Or is there another way that you can do this? Can you think about it in a different way? Dr. Ken Gordon used to always say that, you should never do anything out of obligation. that either you can say no, or you can say yes and face the fact that you're going to constrict your energy through that, or you can change your mind about it. You have options. We all have options for how we work through our life, but sometimes the strongest option is to set it down, is to allow the thing that is taking the energy, that is constricting you, to be set down, to be ended, to be put aside, to be let go of or surrendered, to be released from your life so that you can move forward with renewed energy, with renewed vigor, with renewed creativity and inspiration. When you let go of those things that no longer serve, you increase exponentially the creative energy that's available to you to move forward in your life. Notice your energy. Notice the energy in your body, and you will know what is yours to do. You will know what is yours to experience and express. We are not separate from the fire of the divine. And that energy that you're following is your inner fire. That is the divine fire that is moving through you. Sometimes we think that maybe my desires, what I really want in life, that's just selfish. What is not selfish is when you are living the desire of the divine through you. That is God's purpose through you. And if Spirit has created this purpose within you, it is yours to do. This is your life purpose. And so yes, you should be living in your desire. You should be living in your passion. You should be living in a life that brings you pleasure and joy. And that may not be every step of the way. There's going to be some things in there that, like your pleasure and joy is doing some beautiful creative work, but every now and again you're going to have to write a check for a bill, and that might not bring you such joy in that moment because it's an administrative task and you don't like it, or you're going to have to file something, or you're going to have to wash your dishes, or whatever. There's all those things that you still have to do, but when you are living most of your life from that inner fire, from that passion, that is what expands you. That is what expands your impact in the world. And that is why you have a life purpose that is to serve humanity. Because your life purpose, as you allow yourself to be in that expansion, you allow yourself to have a greater impact in the world around you. You allow yourself to have a greater impact on others' lives. You allow yourself to have a greater impact in every piece of this world, and you raise up all of humanity with you. This is who we are. We are not separate from one another. Our purpose is always, in some way, in service to humanity. So as we have that recognition of our life purpose, we can also know that that life purpose may not show up in ways that are going to be registering on the Richter scale of humanity. That those life purposes that we express and expand on in our own lives may be quiet, small, individual connection. They may be smaller ways of bringing about goodness in the world that don't necessarily show up on the evening news. And that's okay. That's okay. We don't have to chase after those huge ideas of what our life purpose can be. In fact, Barry Heerman says, if you agonize over your noble purpose, you will have missed the point. Your noble purpose is already a creative force within you. Fulfilling your purpose entails for many people simply getting out of the way. So how can you get out of your own way today? How can you express what is yours to do? How can you notice what stirs you, what stokes that inner fire? How can you take steps to release whatever is blocking that inner fire from expressing itself? These are questions for you to take into your life, to take into your week, or to simply take into this moment. All there is right here and now. So right here and now, be in the purpose that you are. I have an affirmation that I'd like to end with. So the affirmation for this week is, you will see it on your screen coming up. I renew my life's purpose with each and every day by allowing my inner fire to guide what is mine to do in the world. Let your inner fire shine. Let your inner fire burn. I love you and I bless you, and I know that all goodness is yours right here and now. And so it is. Namaste.
I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens. And love returns to me. I send my joy over the mountains. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heavens, and joy returns to me. I send my prayers over the mountains. I send my prayers over the sea. I send my prayers into the heavens, and prayers return to me. I send my power over the mountains. I send my power over the sea. I send my power into the heavens, and power returns to me. I send my peace over the mountains. I send my peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heavens, and peace returns to me. And peace returns to me.
Thank you so much for that talk, Reverend Tammy. The inner fire is stoked indeed. Thank you so much for that wisdom of the noble purpose and what is ours to do, and following that energy. And I'm following that energy right now in our time of gratitude and conscious giving. So gratitude, what are you grateful for this week? What springs into your heart that sensation of gratitude? Let us know in the comments. We will like and love all of that good stuff. We'd love to hear from you about what it is that makes you grateful and brings joy into your life. And now is our time of conscious giving. Conscious giving, we are supporting this community with gifts of talent and treasure. And if you are so called and moved, we would love to receive your contributions. There are many ways to contribute. Right now across your screen is cslredlands.org. There's an opportunity to click the donate button there. You can also visit the bit.ly link, which is crossing your screen right now. And you are welcome to mail in a contribution, and the address is 602 Church Street. The rest of that is popping up on your screen right now. We are so blessed by your contributions and your conscious giving. It allows this community to grow and to move through this time safely and easily, so that there is some place for each and every one of us to go to after this shelter at home is in place, and whatever that looks like. So we are continuing to do this good work of awakening humanity into its spiritual magnificence and creating a world that works for everyone, and we are blessed by your support in this time. So we do have an offertory blessing. If you would like to join me in that, think about your offering and your conscious giving in your heart. Bring it to mind. And just allow that visualization of support and love and contribution and community just to well up in your heart. I'm so grateful for community. I'm so grateful for the hearts and minds. And so let us do this offertory blessing together with this in mind. From the love of pure spirit within me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal and bless and prosper. It is evidence of my faith and my belief. It does great work in the world, and it returns to me multiplied abundantly. Thank you so much. I could hear and feel all of that good. So there are ways to stay connected with this community of CSL Redlands. There's a community group which is on the connected to the Facebook page, and you can find it under groups. A link can also be added to the comments right here and right now. And there's ways to connect with your practitioners. Mark and Renee and Stephanie are doing happy hour every weekday evening at 5 p.m. And each of them brings their own flair and their own inner fire to that time with us. So Mark has a time of gentle music and then a dance party, and Renee and Stephanie are doing contemplation and music, and it's just so beautiful to be connected at that time. And it's such a great opportunity to connect with those in the news feeds with you, and we welcome you and encourage you to hit that watch party when they are on, and just bring that joy into the world wherever they are. Joy is, and it's a gift for sure. If you have other things going on and would like to share with your community, please let us know. Put a link in the comments, and whatever is bringing joy to you, I bet it will bring joy to others. And in the community group as well, the CSL Redlands community group, share all of that good stuff from your news feed into the group and connect with people. It's a really great opportunity to like and love and comment on other people's stuff and experience, and it really feels helpful to know that you are not alone. Whenever I get a like or a love pop up, I'm super excited to see who that was and to share the love with that person and connect with their heart. So there's lots of opportunity, and to be close and connected, even in shelter at home and shelter in place, there's opportunities to connect, and we just encourage you to find those ways that best suit you. So how I connect, we're going to close right here with a closing treatment. That's how I connect. I connect with prayer and spiritual mind treatment, and I connect so deeply with meditation. And so let's close this time together with spiritual mind treatment. I just center myself in this moment. Feeling that inner fire, feeling that purpose, feeling that life force energy, feeling that deep connection with all those who are present right here and present in the replay. I know there is no time and space where the one presence is not. And so I just know right here and right now that in this place, I recognize and know that there is only one power, one presence, one infinite source and supply, one ever-givingness of itself. Life is unfolding here and now with the highest expression of spirit. And so I know that I am that. I am living, breathing spirits as spirit is living and breathing me. Divine intelligence is no further than me than my very breath. And so I am just seeping and steeping in the love of Spirit right here and right now. In this love, in this joy, in this gratitude for community and for this place and time to gather together. I know that there is no space between us. There is nothing and no thing separate or divided from or a part of. There is simply the presence of the infinite now. And so I know and declare for this community of CSL Redlands that life is unfolding for each and every member's highest and greatest expression. That every member is blessed with abundance, prosperity, health, wellness, wholeness. Blessed with unconditional love and acceptance for the living fire that is their call. Everyone is an individualized expression, a unique, unrepeatable expression of the infinite one. And so I know that each and every one of us is living our purpose. Each and every one of us is living from the highest expression of who we are called to be in this day and in this place. I step into that truth, knowing fully and completely that what is mine to do is to be present and aware of this moment, to give and to receive love and joy, and to recognize the divine spark in each and every one. That is my purpose right now, to reflect and to accept the infinite divine intelligence that has woven itself in and through and as absolutely everything. I give thanks for this awareness. I give thanks for this day, this life, this breath. And I simply release this word into the infinite law of mind where I know that it is already so. It is already perfect, whole, and complete, just as it is. I simply say, and so it is. And so it is. Join us now for fellowship and connection time in the Zoom room provided in your e-blast if you are on that list and if you are looking for that connection, then we will see you then. The Zoom link will be provided in the comments and across your screen. So now join us for our closing song, and we'll see you in fellowship time. Peace and blessings, everyone.
I can no more be bound than a hawk in flight, and I am the fire that burns in the night, and I am the shaking and the quaking of the earth, and I am the waters of the world's rebirth. I am freedom. I am freedom. Chained because I must be free, and I am the fire that burns in all things, the bell that tolls with freedom's call. Shake when you hear me ring. I am freedom. 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 We are 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 freedom.
Peace and blessings, everyone. Have a beautiful and wonderful day. Hope to see you in fellowship time.